So this is the mesh for the character for my film. And over here, I've got a couple of blend shapes for her, just a couple of mouth blend shapes. So I've got a mouth corner up and a mouth corner wide there. I'm going to connect those, show you how to get those connected to this external control. And then I'm going to show you how to create a combo blend shape. This is really helpful for that. The idea there is you want to have an additional blend shape that triggers when two other blend shapes are active. So in this case of a mouth corner up and out, you'll want another blend shape that is mouth corner up out. And that'll make more sense in just a moment. So just to apply these blend shapes, I'm going to select those, select the main one, come up here to my rigging menu set, deform blend shape. And then I'll go ahead and hide those. I don't really need to see them anymore. Select her. I can see that I've got those two. I'll go ahead and rename them. So that's left for LF for left, mouth corner up. And then this is LF, mouth corner out. So right now those are blend shapes, but they're not connected to this controller. If I move that around, I've already limited this so it only will work in those to the degree that those blend shapes need. And I can show you how to do that if you like. But now I just need to connect those. So I'll come down here to my shape driver. I've got my control object selected, and I will just click here and click Add from Scene. Now that appears. I'll go ahead and put the other one in there too. And so now what I can do is turn that up. I'll move this up to its maximum. Those match pretty well. And then when I come down here to my mouth control, click Set Driven Key, it guessed wrong. It thinks that I want it to be scale X, and that's because the operating range for this is less than 1. Scale X is going from 0 to 1 right now. So it doesn't always do it right, but that's fine. So I know from this that I want it to be translate Y, so I'll click that here. It does load those values for me, 0 to 4. In this case, because any easing I want, I'll be doing with animating the control rather than having some sort of automation going on there, I will keep that at linear. That'll work best for facial rigging stuff. So with all of that good, linear, my range is good, I will come up here, create shape, okay. So now, move this up and down, and the face comes along with it. Let's go ahead and get the other one going. So I've got that pulled all the way out. Turn that up. Yeah, that looks good. Come back here. And I'll know from this that I want translate X. So come in here, and you'll see that it has not automatically updated. If that happens, just click to any other possible driver and come back to it, and then it will update. So now it's got that 0.68 value in there. And you know, that's part of the reason that I went ahead and added the right mouth controller, so I could have something to click off to. Normally you'll have a bunch of joints in the list, so that's not an issue. But got this blend shape selected. Left mouth corner control is the control that I want to drive it. Translate X, values are good, linear is good. Come up here, click OK, and now I've got all that going on, which is great. But that doesn't, you know, I'm not in love with how they look when they're both on, right? So that's the out, that's the up, and together they look like that. So what I can do then is just create a new shape, and I'll be working in pose just like before. So enter sculpt mode, kind of smooth some of this down a little bit, and it's not working. Sometimes you'll find this happens where something about the mesh, something in its history, something about the way it was made, it thinks that you've got the mask turned on for all of those. So what you can do is just select the erase mask brush. It creates this tool over here. You'll see that it's from the interface that it's not the same as the sculpt brush. It's not that same cursor. It looks more like a standard Maya brush tool. If I come into the tool settings, it's brushing on, it's basically the paint vertex color tool with RGB. None of that really matters. You can just come into the tool settings, click flood, and that will free everything up for you to start sculpting. So you shouldn't run into that, but if you do, that's how you fix it, is you just go to erase mask, tool settings, click flood. That'll take care of it for you. Whoa. Brush got giant. Okay. So, you know, I can like do whatever I need to do, move things around a little bit. Maybe I want to kind of smooth out this curve here, make this a little bit less intense up in here, add a little bit of volume there, whatever. Let's say we're happy with that. Then I click exit sculpt mode, and it goes back to the same look I was getting before. So I'll just rename this left mouth corner, out, up. Then, should turn that off. Okay. Once that's set up, then it's just a matter of clicking things in a very particular order again. So I'll click on the two shapes that I want to drive, control click to select them both, and then on the one I want to drive. And then I click in the second column, and you'll see that that says create combo. So I click that, click OK, and now that is turned on. So now when I move this around, I am getting a much softer deformation up in that corner.
So, I'm sorry, could you walk through what you just did again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, I don't want to click undo, but I'll come in here, click on this, and just as where that would break a connection to another blend shape, with a combo you get the option of deleting that connection or editing it. So I'll just delete that. Did you want me to show creating that combo blend shape again, like sculpting it?
Well,
or just connecting it?
Connecting it.
Okay. So again, once you've got that blend shape sculpted, it's in your list here, then you'll select both of the shapes that you want to drive it. So the up and the out, you want this to trigger when both of those are on. So you'll select those first. And then third, you'll select the one that you want to be driven by the first two. And then you click on that third one in the second column, click that there, you'll see the tooltip says create combo, and say OK. And that's all there is to setting up a combo blend shape. That is another one of those things, like the correctives, that just adds polish to a rig. Like it's the kind of thing that separates a mediocre rig from one that's at that next level. That kind of attention to detail, that kind of care. To creating really good expressions on the face, and you know, hopefully your art department, whoever the director is, has given you a sheet, so you can even go off of that, and you can make sure that these expressions are exactly on point for the art direction that you're given. If you do need to edit it, you can click here, edit. If you've clicked things in the wrong order, so like subtract these, I'm just clicking on these and getting rid of them. And oh, updated combo has no driver, so it didn't like that. But if you click things in the wrong order, you can basically just come in here and tell it, you know, using these to add and subtract drivers, and this to select the driven, this button here. So you could change what order's in. So let's say, let's actually let's say that we accidentally selected things in the wrong order, and we've got it set up so that, so now when this and this are on, the up and the out up are on, then the out triggers. That's never going to happen, so we would need to go in here, edit that, and make this again a driver and this the driven, check, and then we're good to go again. So that's how you would edit the combo blend shapes once you've set them up. Okay. So does anybody have any questions before I move on to mirroring? No? Okay. And raise your hands at any point, guys. I'm happy to stop and go over anything again. Yeah.
So you have the different blocks next to the names of your blends. What are the different blocks for the first and second?
The first, second, and third. So the third one, I believe, I've not actually seen this come into play, or it's at least not working in my installation. The third one is just for labeling, so you can assign a color to it and kind of visually sort things by type with that. The third one doesn't really have any functional purpose. Over here, it just shows you whether something is connected by either a regular set-driven key, which is what this red icon is, or by a combo shape. So this is telling you that this is a driver for a combo shape, and this is telling you that it is driven by a combo shape. So let's go ahead and create the opposite side here, so we can get this hooked up. So to create a mirrored blend shape, you'll just select the blend shape that you want to mirror, right-click on base, and instead of clicking add in between, you'll come up here and click create opposite. So now we've got right mouth corner up. Let's go ahead and get the out one also. Same thing again, right-click on the word base there, create opposite. And it's gathered this left and right thing. You can control how it does that by coming up here to the mirror tab and click set mirror identifiers. So I've used LF underscore and RT underscore for the sides. You can change those to whatever you want, and that will let it search for those identifiers and change them, give you the other one when you mirror something over. Also in here, like if your model is not 100% symmetrical, you can click on set mirror tolerance and you can give it different values so it'll be a little bit more relaxed with finding the points on the opposite side. If there was either a modeling error or if it is deliberately not quite symmetrical. If it is deliberately not quite symmetrical, you'll probably want to do some customized work on the other side, but that's the way to get at that. So now that I've got the two opposite ones, you'll see that it has connected them for you. So let's see what happens here. So it has decided to reverse the direction that the control would move for that. So that's going to be an easy enough fix. Let's just go ahead in that case and break that connection. So I'm left clicking on the key to delete it, clicking OK. Again down here, we're just going to do that ourselves. Also, I'm not crazy about having the left and right mixed in with each other. So to rearrange that, I'm just middle mouse button dragging as you would in the outliner to move things around. And now I've got my right shapes at the bottom and my left shapes above that. If you do want to, you can even add groups, right? So let's say left shapes. So I can select all of those, put them in the left shapes, close it up. So that's another fun thing to be able to do if you've got tons of blend shapes that can help you keep them organized. So I'll just again move this up, 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 right mouth corner, translate Y, and with all of those checked, linear, got my up and down values there. I'll go ahead and create the driver, test it. That's working great. Let's go ahead and bring it out there. I'm going to click off and back onto it there to reset that issue where so it updates when I click on the attribute. That looks good. Translate X, good. Start and end values, connect. Now, let's go ahead and create the opposite for our combo shape. Break that connection, and then drag it out of the group. And again, just to connect that combo, I'm selecting the two drivers. Control. What? Oh, good call. Thank you. Good catch. If you do need more space here, you've got buttons for that over here. So that's helpful. Close that back up. So I'll break that connection. I've undone what I did over there, but I can fix that. So select the two drivers, Control select the driven, click on the middle column button on the driven to create combo, click OK. And now I'm all connected there. So that's mirroring. Just click on the channel for the shape that you want to mirror, create opposite. If you do edit one on one side, you can right click on it and click match opposite, and that will update the mirrored one. So if you do make changes after you've mirrored, that's how to have those changes apply to the one on the other side. Yeah, so does anybody have any questions at this point? Okay. Oh, one other handy thing in here. If you've created some blend shapes in ZBrush or somewhere else, but they are symmetrical blend shapes, so you've got like a full smile, you can come in here and bring that in, connect it as a blend shape, and then click split shape right here, and that will give you a left side and a right side from that symmetrical blend shape. And you can control how big of a seam you get there, how big a distance how big a gradient you get between those two. So that's how that is handled. So that is it for combo blend shapes and mirroring. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Yeah.
So we're only using the brushes which he has given us, right? Can we just tweak the vertices with the move button and everything?
When you're in sculpt mode, you can use whatever tools you want. You can select vertices, move them around individually. Any sort of modeling tools are at your disposal. You just want to be using, you want to be moving components, not transforms at that point. Anybody else? Yeah.
Is like say if you're like sending to another computer, is there anything like situations that you were saying, like I remember telling me like at NG skin tools about like the importing and exporting, is there any problems?
No, this is, he's talking about another plugin called NG Skin Tools, which is amazing for skinning that I showed John. It does leave custom nodes in the scene, and that means that if you don't get rid of those nodes before you send it to somebody who doesn't have it installed, you'll get issues. If you send it to the farm, you'll get issues. This doesn't do that. This is just connecting blend shapes, so it's fine to just send right out to somebody. It's just creating those connections for you in a really easy way. There is a special custom driver that this has built into it. If you want to use that, it's great, but it won't work on the farm. So that's an issue because it does put custom nodes into the scene.
When you create a blend shape for like your original geometry, where are these blend shapes being created?
So one thing that's interesting about blend shapes, if you think about this idea of there being, geometry in the scene, that's how you create blend shapes. But if I delete those, this still works, even though those are gone. And the reason for that is that when you create the blend shape node and the blend shape targets, it's really just recording a a movement of each vertex from one point to another. So it's remembering how much to move each vertex and in what direction. So when this plugin creates a blend shape, it's not creating any new geometry. It's just creating those movements of vertices and storing that. One thing that I really wish this had was a one-click solution that would just generate all of your separate blend shapes as geometry, so you could store those somewhere else. It's really nice to have those. You can do it manually by just putting it in the position where that's the only blend shape you've got on, or going to that blend shape editor and just turning one on, duplicating it off, and then you've got that saved for later. But so it's not creating geometry, it's just creating blend shape node data. One issue though, like if you do like to run all of your blend shapes through a bridge, it's a little bit tougher to do that with this. It does create all of the blend shape targets on the mesh you're working on. So for correctives especially, that's tricky.
How is this interactive with local rigging? When you need, extra joints on the second piece of geometry to then drive a blend shape? Yeah.
Yeah. So what I did when I used this is I would have a lot of local rigs set up for the face, coming through a bridge, and then all of my correctives were just additional targets, blend shape targets, on the same blend shape node that the bridge was coming into. So they work it works fine. It's not separate blend shape nodes, it's just additional blend shape targets.
What I mean is, when it comes to this tool and working alongside local rigs, at what part of the process are you using this tool? Are you just kind of using it to add a bunch of correctives at the end?
I would use it for the correctives. I would also use it to connect any blend shapes on the local rigs, and then those are all, you can create the same sorts of connections on those local rigs. In some cases, you'll want to break out and use the connection editor to just have direct connections between things on your global rig to your local rigs. So it's not going to do absolutely everything in a local rigging setup, but while you're just working on that local rig, let's say you're working on just the face, this can be great for creating those connections for you while you're working on that mesh, and then it'll all just feed in through the bridge.
So like morph targets and ZBrush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually, with working with morph targets and ZBrush, if you want to leave symmetry on, you can use that split shape tool to separate them here. You can then create all of the connections to the controls in here. When I was working on my characters, I made most of my facial expressions in ZBrush, and then used this tool to connect them all up.
Nice. Where do you right click for create opposite again?
Create opposite, you'll just select the blend shape that you want to mirror over, right click on base, create opposite. And you have access to a lot of stuff by right clicking on that channel. So yeah, those two and that one get used a lot. Merge selected, swap selected are all pretty so you could merge two blend shapes together, that kind of thing. But that's kind of how that works. Anybody else?